North Korea is the most closed-off, control-driven, and mysterious country in the world. It is a place where freedom is not a choice, but a privilege you are born with. Because your life is determined the moment you leave your mother's womb according to a social status system called Songbon. Imagine living in a paradox where listening to K-pop could get you executed. Yet your nuclear power allows you to instill fear in global politics. Your hairstyle must be one of 28 models approved by the state. Doctors earn a monthly salary of only $10, and large parts of the country try to survive by candlelight. This is a place where radios, televisions, and even maps show only a single version of reality dictated by the government. Today we will explore the millions who live behind the Iron Curtain of this modern feudal dynasty of the 21st century and their lives under total control. You may be shocked by what you are about to see. If we want to understand North Korea, we must first grasp the Kim dynasty at the center of its political structure. Although the country is defined as a socialist republic in its constitution, real power belongs to a unique family dynasty passed down from Kim Il-sung to his son Kim Jong-il, and ultimately to the current leader Kim Jong-un. The next heir to this dynasty appears to be Kim Jong-un's young daughter Kim Joo, who has recently been frequently highlighted in state media with the title respected. This rigid and highly personalized form of governance has penetrated even the most fundamental elements of the country. It is strictly forbidden for citizens to have the same name as the leader, and those who do are required to change their names. Moreover, the depth of control reshapes the perception of time in favor of the regime. For example, North Korea's official calendar called Juche begins with the birth year of its founding leader Kim Il-sung, which is 1912. Therefore, while it is 2025 for us, it corresponds to the year 114 in the Juche calendar for them. In other words, the past and the future are shaped entirely according to the will of the dynasty. This absolute control is implemented through the Songbun system, which determines a person's fate even before they are born based on family background. This social status ranking classifies families according to their loyalty to the regime before and during the Korean War. For example, children from families loyal to the regime are granted access to better education and higher-level career opportunities, while those with a bad or enemy background are condemned to limited educational options, low-paid jobs, and living in the poorer regions of the country. Even career choices are a result of this system and state assignments. In other words, it is not about individual rights, but a centralized planning mechanism. If you do not have money or the ability to pay a bribe, changing the job you have been assigned to is nearly impossible. At one point, thousands of young people were forced to leave their cities and grow potatoes in mountainous regions for this very reason. This mandatory reassignment became a ruthless decision that condemned them to the farming class almost forever, sealing their fate. The level of control in North Korea does not end there. In fact, it often goes as far as questioning personal sincerity. A striking example of this is the obligation for citizens to cry during national mourning days or when they see the leader, Kim Jong-un. During these ceremonies, scenes of crowds crying are broadcast on state media to demonstrate their absolute loyalty to the regime. Moreover, those whose crying is deemed insincere or who do not appear sufficiently saddened may face unpleasant questioning. And this strict system extends into even the smallest details of daily life, as you will see next. Naturally, such a powerful political structure has created an isolated daily life that cuts off the country's connection with the outside world. For example, most North Koreans do not have access to the global internet. Instead, they are required to use Kwangmyeong, a private network mainly intended for internal communication and strictly filtered by state censorship. On top of that, making international phone calls is considered a serious crime, and leaving the country without permission leads to the harshest punishments. This absolute control over information has even altered the country's geographical perception. Although we all know that the Korean peninsula is divided in two, Many citizens in the country believe they live in a single and unified Korea because the maps they see do not show South Korea. Of course, technological and cultural products are also affected by this isolation. For example, it is not possible to find global brands such as iPhone or Samsung Galaxy in North Korean markets. Citizens are required to use basic smartphones produced by local brands like Jindali, Pyongyang, or Arirang. These phones are equipped with an integrated censorship system that blocks access to any content not approved by the state and continuously monitors user activity. This ideology is reflected in the consumption culture as well. For example, the majority of North Koreans do not even know what Coca-Cola tastes like. The sweet and carbonated drink called cocoa, which you may see in supermarkets, is merely an imitation of the global brand. Similarly, it is impossible to come across an American-style hamburger. Instead, there are sandwiches made with thin slices of meat and overcooked vegetables. It does not end there. Cultural restrictions extend even to clothing. For a long time, blue jeans were banned because they were considered a symbol of American capitalism. Although these bans have loosened slightly today, they are still rarely seen. The situation is even more striking for women. Since the country's economy focuses on defense systems and heavy industry, the production of basic consumer goods that require modern technology, such as sanitary pads or tampons, is not prioritized. As a result, women are forced to use reusable cloths, an old and primitive method. In addition, in order to increase the workforce by encouraging population growth, the government has partially concealed the existence of modern birth control methods such as condoms. So, how do people in North Korea get by with such strict rules and limited products? The monthly income of a worker in the country is shockingly low and tragic. A factory worker earns around $3 to $5 per month, while even the nation's qualified doctors receive salaries of roughly $10. Soldiers who protect their homeland settle for just a symbolic amount of a few dollars. However, what truly matters is not the salaries, but the state's subsidies that captivate the population. Each family is provided with free housing, basic food such as rice, electricity, cooking oil, and free access to schools and hospitals. Yet, even this system is highly unstable. In some regions, families may go months without receiving enough rice. In such cases, makeshift markets called jangmadang, where people sell daily necessities such as dried fish, vegetables, soap, and imported goods from China, become their lifeline. Although these markets are not technically legal, they are indispensable for those who want to survive. The greatest challenge of daily life is undoubtedly the never-ending power outages. If you look at North Korea from a satellite image at night, you will see that the entire country is trapped in darkness with only the capital Pyongyang faintly illuminated. This situation is even more tragic for those living in rural areas. Electricity is provided to these regions for only a few hours a day. As a result, many students are forced to study under street lights, while homes rely on gas lamps or candles. The situation is not much different in the free housing units I mentioned earlier. Most apartments do not have modern hot water systems. People usually have to go to public bathhouses to use water heated with coal or wood. The social life, which struggles with shortages and survives through these subsidies, is also woven with strict rules. For example, even the marriage system carries traces of songbon. Those from higher classes can usually marry only someone from the same class. Women, on the other hand, typically marry in their 20s. Being single at the age of 30 is considered extremely unusual in society. The real reason behind the low divorce rates is not happy relationships, but the cultural and legal restrictions that prevent separation. Naturally, in a country with such strict enforcement on marriage, marrying a foreigner is nothing more than a dream. The North Korean government is extremely strict about preserving what it sees as the pure national bloodline. In other words, it is believed that marriage with foreigners would taint the bloodline and undermine the loyalty of future generations. On the other hand, this requirement for purity and absolute loyalty does not remain limited to marriage. It also reflects in the privilege of living in the capital Pyongyang, which serves as the ideological showcase of the regime. While almost the entire country is condemned to live in poverty and darkness, Pyongyang, home to around 3 million residents making up roughly 12% of the population, stands as the most concrete center of this strict ideology. Living here is not simply a matter of residential registration. It is a privilege granted only to those who are unquestionably loyal to the regime. Therefore, Pyongyang is both the social and geographical core of North Korea's obsession with preserving the purity of its blood and spirit. When you take a closer look at the city, you clearly see that it has been designed to showcase the power and grandeur of the regime. Pyongyang is filled with monumental structures such as the Rungrado May Day Stadium, the largest stadium in the world with a capacity of 150,000 people, and the Arch of Triumph, which stands more than 60 meters tall and is even higher than the one in Paris. The same display of grandeur also applies to the underground world of the capital. These metro stations, descending 100 meters below ground and decorated with chandeliers and marble columns, also serve as secure shelters in the event of conflict or war. Urban transportation in Pyongyang, however, reveals the contrast between the city's extravagance and the country's true economic reality. For example, unless you are an official or have very special connections, owning a car is nearly impossible. Only those individuals can enjoy such a luxury. Ordinary citizens use bicycles or rely on extremely crowded buses and trams that date back to East German trains to get to school or work. On the other hand, since car traffic in the capital is very limited, there are no traffic lights at intersections. Instead, specially selected female traffic officers are assigned to manage the flow. These officers, wearing blue uniforms and white boots, are usually chosen from unmarried women between the ages of 16 and 26 who meet specific height requirements. This practice is seen as part of the government's effort to enhance the visual image of the city. In Pyongyang, the day begins around 6 o'clock in the morning with revolutionary songs broadcast through loudspeakers. Behind this orderly and flamboyant image, the country's foreign policy relies solely on the harsh reality of nuclear deterrence and military power. No matter how tightly North Korea maintains internal control, its power beyond its borders is taken extremely seriously on a global scale. Since 2006, the country has conducted successful nuclear tests, and in 2017, it proved that one of its bombs was far more powerful and destructive than the one dropped on Hiroshima, causing global concern. In addition, North Korea has one of the largest standing armies in the world. With a regular force of 1.3 million soldiers, approximately 5.7 million workers and peasants, Red Militia members, and 600,000 reserve troops. It can mobilize nearly 8 million people in an emergency. This massive scale is possible only due to mandatory military service laws. Men are required to serve for up to 10 years and women for up to 7 years. This service is even incorporated into school curricula through training such as shooting practice and hand grenade exercises in primary and secondary education. North Korea shows this strict face not only to its own people, but also to visitors from abroad. For example, if you want to visit the country, your entire travel itinerary is carefully monitored by local guides. It is strictly forbidden to leave the group or to explore on your own. You are only allowed to shop in stores that have been specifically designated for foreigners. For a standard 5-day tour package, you must pay an average of $1,000 to $1,500. If you want to buy an international 3G SIM card, you will need to pay a high fee. North Korea, despite its modern surveillance and strict rules, also offers historical and geographical beauties worth discovering. For example, the city of Kaesong, located near the South Korean border, has a rich history that includes 600-year-old traditional wooden houses and the tombs of Goryeo kings. It is also known for its famous table setting where more than 10 small dishes are served at the same time. If we head north in the Rasan Special Economic Zone near the Chinese and Russian borders, rare interaction with local culture is possible. In its busy free market, everything from seafood to electronics is sold. Interestingly, in Rasan, unlike the rest of North Korea, the Chinese yuan, Russian ruble, and even the US dollar are accepted. This shows that the regime bends certain rules for economic gain. The country's geography is full of natural mysteries. One of the most unique is Lake Chan, formed on Mount Chilbo in North Hamgyong Province. Since the lake can sometimes turn red and sometimes gray, and due to the perfectly circular ripples that suddenly appear on its surface, locals consider it to possess a hidden power. In addition, the water level of Heaven Lake located on Mount Peak 2, the highest volcano on the peninsula, can rise and fall by 1 meter within just a few days. In addition to all this, North Korea also has a rich culinary culture. One of the most notable dishes is naengmyeon, known for its unique flavor. Made from buckwheat and potato starch, it is a refreshing dish served in icy broth. Along with this, palak, which symbolizes family gatherings and hospitality, and tea, which represents good fortune during weddings and birthdays, are also indispensable elements of the national cuisine. The cultural life of North Korea revolves entirely around the leader, which makes it a celebration of propaganda. For example, every year on April 15th, the Day of the Sun Festival is held to celebrate the birthday of Kim Il-sung. These events are marked by grand ceremonies and mass dances involving thousands of citizens and are celebrated simultaneously across the country. However, the pinnacle of this celebration is the Ararang Festival held at the Runggrado May Day Stadium in August and September. In this event, tens of thousands of highly skilled performers create dynamic visual scenes simultaneously. Thanks to their precise coordination, these shows have even been recognized by the Guinness World Records. These remarkable performances are not only an expression of limited individual freedom, but also a representation of collective discipline and absolute loyalty to the regime. In conclusion, North Korea resembles a striking laboratory of paradoxes trapped in its own timeline in the middle of the 21st century. Here, it is not who you are, but where you come from that determines your fate. People who try to survive on a monthly salary of $10 also struggle to hold on to life with inadequate state support. On one side, extremely powerful nuclear missiles light up the sky. On the other, children study by candlelight because the power is constantly cut. Freedom of expression, and justice are concepts people whisper about quietly out of fear. So, will the silent cries for freedom of the North Korean people ever be heard? Or should those who speak the loudest be them or us? And really, how free are we, the ones living outside these walls? While millions of North Koreans survive on boiled rice and bean paste, their supreme leader, Kim Jong-un, starts his morning with coffee that costs $500 per pound. He indulges in a notorious pleasure squad with around 2,000 women every night, owns dozens of luxurious villas scattered throughout the country, and a lavish, everyday life that any world leader would envy. 1. The morning routine. Unlike other world leaders who maintain strict schedules, Kim's morning depends entirely on how much he partied the night before. And trust me, we'll get to those parties later because they're absolutely insane. While ordinary North Koreans wake to patriotic anthems blaring from state speakers, Kim awakens in the Pyongyang residence, a mansion so luxurious it makes the White House look modest. Built in 1983, this estate features a 1,000-seat private cinema, multiple swimming pools with water slides, running tracks, sports fields, horse stable, and even shooting ranges. But here's where it gets really crazy. Beneath this mansion lies an underground command center reinforced with iron and lead-covered concrete designed to survive nuclear attacks. The entire property is surrounded by electric fences, minefields, and military checkpoints with a private railway connection overlooking a man-made lake. North Korean propaganda claims their godly leader is so devoted to helping his people that he burns all his energy for the nation, producing no bodily waste. Yes, you heard that correctly. They literally claim Kim Jong-un doesn't use the bathroom because he's too perfect and hardworking. The level of absurd propaganda surrounding this man's basic human functions shows just how disconnected from reality his regime has become. 2. Breakfast fit for a dictator. Kim begins his day with a freshly brewed cup of coffee. As if he has the busiest schedule known to mankind. His morning coffee costs up to $500 per pound, imported exclusively from Brazil. In 2024 alone, North Korea spent millions importing this rare coffee while their citizens lack basic nutrition. Think about that for a moment. A single pound of his coffee costs more than most North Koreans earn in an entire year. After his ridiculously expensive caffeine fix, Kim sits down to a breakfast that would make billionaires jealous. We're talking premium Italian Parma ham, authentic Japanese Wagyu beef, and the finest cuts of meat money can buy. His favorite breakfast protein is Kobe beef steak, costing between $200 to $500 per pound. He prefers medium rare to rare, just like his father, Kim Jong-il, taught him. This information comes directly from Kenji Fujimoto, the family's former personal sushi chef who worked inside their private world for years. Fujimoto revealed that father and son would regularly dine together on these incredibly expensive steaks, while their people survived on government rations of rice and bean paste. The contrast is absolutely sickening when you really think about it. But Kobe beef is just the beginning of Kim's breakfast extravagance. He also demands fresh sushi made with toro, the fatty part of tuna that's considered the most expensive cut. No wonder Kim weighs over 300 pounds. His weight isn't just from overeating. It's from consuming the world's most expensive foods while maintaining a completely sedentary lifestyle. Here's another shocking detail about his breakfast routine. Kim has an obsession with Swiss Emmental cheese that developed during his education in Switzerland. He imports massive quantities of this aromatic, expensive cheese despite international sanctions. The United Nations has banned luxury food imports to North Korea. But Kim continues receiving shipments through elaborate smuggling networks that cost his regime millions annually. His seafood preferences are equally outrageous. Kim regularly enjoys lobster and caviar, both explicitly banned by UN sanctions. He imports the finest Caspian Sea caviar and premium lobster to satisfy his cravings. Despite his father's failed attempts to establish domestic lobster farms when local production couldn't meet his standards, he simply ignored international law and continued importing. Perhaps most controversially, Kim frequently enjoys shark fin soup, a controversial dish fit for a controversial leader. But if Kim isn't worried about nuclear backlash, why would he worry about sharks? If you've watched this far, we're thrilled to know you enjoyed the video. And if this video made you say, wait, what? Even once, go ahead and share this video with your friends. And if you're watching on your phone, don't just stop at the like button. Tap the hype button right below. It really helps me earn a bit of extra income. And now, let's take a look at how much this North Korean leader spends on his harmful lifestyle of alcohol and cigarettes. 3. The alcohol addiction. Kim Jong-un reportedly spends $30 million every single year just importing alcohol for himself and his inner circle. $30 million. That's more than the GDP of some small countries spent entirely on getting drunk. In 2019, then Dutch authorities intercepted nearly 1 million bottles of Russian vodka at Rotterdam port, all destined for Pyongyang despite UN sanctions. This massive shipment was intended for Kim and his military officials, proving that North Korea has developed sophisticated smuggling networks to maintain his drinking habits. His personal favorite is Cristal champagne, and according to former chef Fujimoto, Kim regularly consumes 2 entire bottles in single sittings. Each bottle costs hundreds of dollars, meaning a typical evening champagne consumption costs more than most people's monthly salary. But Cristal isn't his only expensive preference. Kim also maintains his father's obsession with Hennessy cognac, with North Korea spending approximately $1 million annually on this single brand. Each bottle costs around $630, which exceeds the average yearly income of ordinary North Korean citizens. Think about that inequality. Kim's single bottle of cognac costs more than his people earn in an entire year of labor. The most shocking revelation about Kim's drinking comes from Fujimoto's testimony that Kim once bragged about consuming 10 bottles of French wine in a single night. While this claim might be exaggerated, it demonstrates the scale of his alcohol consumption. Premium French Bordeaux wines can cost thousands per bottle, meaning a single night's drinking could cost more than most people's annual income. This excessive alcohol consumption creates a vicious cycle affecting his entire daily schedule. Kim frequently holds important national meetings late at night, possibly to accommodate his drinking schedule or project an image of tireless dedication. However, insiders suggest he delegates most actual decision-making to advisors while focusing on personal indulgences. That's some jaw-dropping extravagance, isn't it? Now, I'm curious, if you had access to that kind of luxury, would you ever spend that much on alcohol? Comment yes or no below and share your thoughts with us. 4. The smoking habit. Adding to his health-destroying habits, Kim Jong-un is a heavy smoker who openly flaunts his own country's smoking regulations. Despite North Korea implementing strict anti-smoking campaigns for ordinary citizens, Kim is regularly photographed smoking premium cigarettes during official inspections and public appearances. His preferred brands include Marlboro and Dunhill, both expensive imported cigarettes that cost significantly more in North Korea due to sanctions and smuggling expenses. This public smoking sends a clear message to his people that laws apply to everyone except their supreme leader. The combination of excessive drinking and heavy smoking creates serious insomnia problems for Kim, which further disrupts his schedule and increases his reliance on both substances. Reports suggest he cannot sleep without consuming large amounts of alcohol, creating a dangerous cycle that affects his decision-making capabilities and overall health. This insomnia might also stem from his paranoia about elimination attempts. Living as a dictator means constantly fearing that someone might try to eliminate you, which could explain why Kim's nights are filled with artificial stimulation rather than natural rest. 5. The pleasure squad that costs millions. Now we reach perhaps the most disturbing aspect of Kim Jong-un's daily routine, his notorious pleasure squad. This group consists of approximately 2,000 carefully selected women whose sole purpose is entertaining Kim and his senior officials through singing, dancing, massages, and more intimate services. Despite his public image as a devoted family man, Kim dedicates enormous resources to maintaining this pleasure squad. In 2016 alone, he reportedly spent nearly $4 million on luxury items specifically for these people. They undergo rigorous medical examinations and must meet strict physical standards to remain part of this exclusive group. The selection process for the pleasure squad is incredibly demanding and disturbing. Young people are chosen based on their appearance, musical abilities, and willingness to serve the regime's leadership. They receive specialized training in entertainment, massage techniques, and other services designed to please Kim and his inner circle. This pleasure squad represents one of the most expensive aspects of Kim's personal lifestyle, consuming millions annually, while North Korean families struggle to afford basic necessities. The contrast between resources spent on Kim's personal entertainment versus public welfare demonstrates the regime's completely twisted priorities. Does this really seem like the lifestyle worthy of a leader? Let us know in the comments. We read every single one. 6. Evening entertainment. Kim's evenings often involve retreating to his private theater, a state-of-the-art facility that can accommodate hundreds of guests. This exclusive venue features the latest projection technology and sound systems rivaling the best commercial theaters worldwide. The construction and maintenance costs alone represent millions in expenses. In this theater, Kim hosts screenings of Hollywood blockbusters, Disney cartoons, James Bond films, action movies, and even banned South Korean dramas. The irony is incredible. While ordinary North Koreans face severe punishment for consuming foreign media, their leader enjoys the latest international entertainment in luxury surroundings. The theater also serves propaganda purposes where Kim showcases videos of missile tests and military achievements to his elite circle. In August 2023, he hosted a spectacular Navy Day celebration, inviting hundreds of military officers to watch nuclear missile test footage while enjoying premium refreshments. These evening entertainment sessions often feature karaoke performances where Kim begins by singing self-praising songs before an 18-member girl band performs dedicated tunes. The cost of maintaining this private entertainment complex, including staff, equipment, and content acquisition, represents another massive ongoing expense. 7. The fashion and style. Kim Jong-un's obsession with personal appearance extends far beyond typical vanity. His wardrobe consists exclusively of custom-tailored suits and jackets, each costing thousands of dollars and imported from European fashion houses despite international sanctions. His signature look typically features dark suits with ties or Mao-style jackets reminiscent of his grandfather Kim Il-sung's attire. However, no one in North Korea dares to sport that particular haircut. The North Korean government broadcasts television programs teaching citizens how to cut their hair according to socialist lifestyle standards. There are exactly 28 approved hairstyles, 18 for women and 10 for men. But here's the twisted part. None of these approved styles resemble Kim's distinctive haircut because he wants to be the only person in the entire country sporting that particular look. His haircut alone requires specialized stylists and premium products with the sides shaved and longer top style to create an illusion of greater height. The maintenance of this hairstyle requires regular appointments with imported stylists. Since no North Korean barber would dare attempt to replicate the supreme leader's signature look, Kim's accessory collection represents another shocking expense category. According to the Telegraph newspaper, his personal watch collection is valued at over $8.2 million. $8.2 million spent on watches. While his people lack basic timepieces or even reliable electricity to power clocks, he's rarely seen in public without one of these expensive timepieces, often switching between different luxury brands depending on the occasion. These aren't just expensive watches. They're statement pieces designed to project wealth and power to anyone who sees him. Another constant accessory is his trusty binoculars, which he carries to every public appearance. While this might seem practical for a leader inspecting military facilities, the binoculars themselves are premium optical equipment costing thousands of dollars. Even his most mundane accessories represent expenses that exceed most people's annual incomes. 8. The car collection. Kim Jong-un's passion for luxury vehicles developed during his education in Switzerland, where he was exposed to European automotive excellence. His current collection includes some of the world's most prestigious and expensive vehicles, with Western intelligence agencies estimating his private car collection at over $100 million. Let that sink in for a moment. $100 million spent on personal vehicles while North Korean citizens rely on bicycles, walking, or overcrowded public transportation that frequently breaks down due to lack of maintenance funding. The centerpiece of his collection is the Mercedes-Benz S600 Pullman Guard valued at approximately $1 million per vehicle. This isn't just a luxury car. It's a mobile fortress featuring steel plate reinforcement, armored flooring to protect against explosions, and multi-layered bulletproof windows that prevent shattering under attack. The Pullman Guard features a 5.5 L V12 bi-turbo engine delivering 517 horsepower, ensuring Kim can escape quickly if necessary. This vehicle has been his primary transportation for high-profile events since he became leader in 2011, including the historic U.S.-North Korea summit in Singapore. But Kim doesn't rely on just one armored vehicle. He also owns a Maybach 62S, which serves as backup transportation and features similar protective modifications. In February 2019, he was spotted in a bulletproof Mercedes Maybach S600 in Pyongyang, frequently shown in state media as a symbol of his power and wealth. His collection extends beyond Mercedes vehicles to include a Rolls-Royce Phantom, which he used to welcome U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to Pyongyang in October 2018. The Rolls-Royce Phantom extended wheelbase is produced in extremely limited numbers and often customized specifically for individual owners, meaning Kim's version likely costs significantly more than the standard model. Reports indicate North Korea imported an Audi R8 and A8 in early 2010, shortly after Kim Jong-un gained international intelligence attention. His European education clearly influenced his automotive preferences, with German engineering representing the majority of his collection. The maintenance costs for this vehicle collection represent another ongoing expense that most people never consider. These luxury vehicles require specialized parts, premium fuels, and expert technicians, all of which must be imported at enormous cost due to international sanctions. 9. The naval fleet. If Kim's land-based luxury seemed excessive, wait until you discover his maritime indulgences. His personal yacht collection represents some of the most outrageous spending in his entire lifestyle, with vessels that rival those owned by Hollywood's biggest stars and tech billionaires. His primary yacht is the Princess 95, a 95-foot luxury vessel valued at $7 million. This yacht is part of the renowned LVMH brand portfolio, featuring the latest marine technology, premium furnishings, and accommodations that exceed most five-star hotels. The Princess 95 includes a captain's tea table, 3 expansive decks, a gourmet dining area for 10 guests, a luxurious salon, and 4 opulent bedrooms with private bathrooms. The vessel can accommodate up to 8 guests in absolute luxury, with crew quarters and service areas designed to provide seamless hospitality. But one yacht apparently isn't enough for the supreme leader. Satellite imagery has revealed another 100-foot yacht docked next to his private residence, along with an array of jet skis and a 60-meter leisure boat. The combined value of his maritime fleet likely exceeds $20 million. The operational costs of maintaining these vessels represent another massive ongoing expense. Luxury yachts require specialized crews, premium fuel, regular maintenance, and secure docking facilities. The Princess 95 alone probably costs hundreds of thousands annually just for basic upkeep and operation. These maritime expenses become even more shocking when you consider that most North Koreans have never seen the ocean, let alone experienced recreational boating. The security apparatus. Perhaps no aspect of Kim Jong-un's lifestyle consumes more resources than his personal security, which operates as a massive ongoing expense that dwarfs most countries' entire defense budgets. Kim's bodyguard selection process reveals his insecurity about his own physical stature. All personal security team members must be shorter than 5 feet 5 inches, ensuring Kim never appears small next to his protectors. These guards aren't just physically selected. They're highly trained combatants and martial artists who undergo years of specialized preparation. The training costs for his security team represent enormous ongoing expenses. These guards receive instruction in advanced combat techniques, weapons handling, surveillance detection, and emergency medical procedures. They're essentially elite special forces soldiers dedicated entirely to protecting one individual. His residential security extends far beyond personal bodyguards to include elaborate defensive systems. The Pyongyang residence features tall walls, multiple security checkpoints, surveillance cameras, motion detectors, and underground bunker systems. The installation and maintenance of these security systems costs millions annually. Kim's communication security represents another massive expense category. He relies on encrypted communication systems to keep conversations secret, requiring specialized equipment and technical support that costs significantly more than standard communication methods. These systems must be regularly updated and maintained by expert technicians. His transportation security involves using 3 identical aircraft to confuse potential threats and reduce assassination risks. Operating 3 presidential aircraft simultaneously represents enormous fuel, maintenance, and crew costs. He frequently changes flight plans at the last minute, requiring additional aircraft and crew to remain on standby. Ground transportation security involves decoy vehicles and constantly changing routes, multiplying travel costs exponentially. Instead of using one armored vehicle, Kim's security protocol requires multiple identical vehicles to confuse potential attackers about which one contains the actual leader. The ultimate display of power. The most chilling aspect of Kim Jong-un's security expenses involves eliminating perceived threats, including his own family members. The elimination of his half-brother, Kim Jong-nam in Malaysia, represents the extreme lengths and costs Kim will incur to maintain power. Kim Jong-nam was once considered heir apparent to North Korean leadership, but fell from favor after being caught trying to enter Japan with a fake passport in 2001. This embarrassment led to his exile, but Kim Jong-un still viewed him as a potential threat to his authority. On February 13, 2017, Kim Jong-nam was at Kuala Lumpur International Airport waiting to board a flight to Macau. 2 women approached him separately, one wiping an oily substance on his face, while another covered his eyes and mouth before quickly disappearing. The substance was VX nerve agent, one of the world's most deadly chemical weapons. Kim Jong-nam passed away within 20 minutes of the attack before medical help could save him. The entire elimination was captured on CCTV cameras and sparked international outrage. This elimination demonstrates that Kim Jong-un views even family members as expendable threats to his power. The financial cost of eliminating his half-brother pales in comparison to the message it sent to anyone considering challenging his authority. The propaganda machine. Supporting Kim Jong-un's extravagant lifestyle requires a massive propaganda apparatus that consumes enormous resources while convincing North Koreans their leader deserves godlike reverence. This propaganda system represents one of the most expensive ongoing costs in maintaining his power. From birth, North Koreans are indoctrinated to view Kim Jong-un as a divine figure who transcends normal human limitations. State-controlled media reinforces this image through relentless broadcasts depicting him as omnipotent and capable of extraordinary feats, including mind-reading abilities. The production costs for this propaganda content represent massive ongoing expenses. Creating television programs, radio broadcasts, printed materials, and public displays requires extensive personnel, equipment, and distribution networks. Every piece of content must be carefully crafted to maintain the illusion of Kim's divine nature. The psychological impact of this propaganda creates deep-seated fear among the population that any negative thoughts about Kim could be discovered and punished by death. This fear helps justify his extravagant spending by making people believe he deserves unlimited resources as their godlike leader. The propaganda system also explains why Kim's lifestyle expenses continue growing despite international sanctions and domestic poverty. When people believe their leader is divine, they're more likely to accept that he deserves luxuries while they suffer deprivation. When you add up all these expense categories, Kim Jong-un's daily lifestyle represents one of history's most shocking examples of inequality and resource misallocation. Nearly 25% of North Korea's budget goes toward military spending, while an estimated 30% funds Kim's personal luxuries and security apparatus. This means that over half of North Korea's entire national budget serves Kim Jong-un's personal interests rather than improving conditions for ordinary citizens. While he enjoys $500 coffee and $1 million vehicles, his people survive on government rations and lack access to basic health care, education, and infrastructure. The psychological toll of maintaining this lifestyle also affects Kim's decision-making capabilities. His excessive drinking, smoking, and irregular sleep schedule impair his judgment while increasing his paranoia about potential threats. This creates a vicious cycle where poor decisions lead to greater security concern, requiring even more expensive protective measures. What aspect of Kim Jong-un's daily expenses shocked you most? Was it the $30 million spent annually on alcohol, the $100 million car collection, or the 2,000-member pleasure squad? Let me know in the comments below and share any additional information you've discovered about the regime's hidden expenses. We always look forward to hearing more from you. And don't forget to hit subscribe, turn on notifications bell, so we can see you again in our next video. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. I hope you enjoyed it. Your support truly means the world. Wishing you the best of luck. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any thoughts or stories to share, drop a comment below. Give us a like if you found this helpful, and make sure to subscribe so you never miss out. We'll see you again soon. Take care and stay. Welcome to North Korea, the most closed-off country on Earth. Here, 25 million people live like prisoners in their own nation, completely cut off from the outside world. What shocking secrets hide behind the walls of this mysterious kingdom? And what is the real story of how their leaders live while their people suffer? North Korea is ruled by one of the world's craziest dictators, a man whose personal life would shock you. Let's start by looking at this strange country and then dive deep into the insane world of its leaders. The insane life of Kim Jong-il. Kim Jong-il, who ruled North Korea from 1994 to 2011, lived like no dictator in history. While his people were literally eating grass to survive, this maniac was living in unbelievable luxury with some of the most twisted personal habits you've ever heard of. Kim Jong-il was obsessed with movies and had a personal collection of over 20,000 DVDs and films. But here's the crazy part. He actually kidnapped a famous South Korean director and his actress wife in the 1970s and forced them to make movies for him for 8 years. He kept them as his personal prisoners just to make films for his entertainment. The most shocking thing about Kim Jong-il was his pleasure squad, a secret group of about 2,000 beautiful young women whose only job was to entertain him and his friends. These women were picked when they were teenagers and forced to serve the leader in ways that would make your stomach turn. Some were dancers, some were singers, but many were basically sex slaves for the ruling elite. Kim Jong-il had multiple wives and mistresses, but he kept most of these relationships secret. He fathered several children with different women, treating them like his personal breeding stock. The women who bore his children were given luxury apartments and money, but they could never leave or talk about their relationships. This sick man spent millions of dollars on personal luxuries while his people starved. He owned dozens of palaces, a private train with bulletproof cars, and even had his own private island where he threw wild parties. He imported the most expensive food and drinks from around the world while ordinary North Koreans were dying from hunger. Life for ordinary people. While the Kim family lives like kings, ordinary North Koreans live in conditions that are hard to believe in the 21st century. Most people in North Korea live in small, freezing apartments with no heating, limited electricity, and often no running water. The average North Korean is about 2 inches shorter than South Koreans because of poor nutrition and constant hunger. Many people have never had enough food in their entire lives. A normal meal might be a small bowl of rice with some vegetables if they're lucky. Meat is so rare that most people eat it only a few times per year. North Koreans cannot travel freely within their own country. They need special permission just to move from one city to another. They definitely cannot leave the country. Trying to escape is punished by death or by sending the person's entire family to prison camps. There is no internet for regular people, no foreign TV shows, no foreign music, and no foreign books. Everything is controlled by the government, and people get in serious trouble just for listening to South Korean pop music or watching foreign movies. Everyone must work where the government tells them to work, live where they're told to live, and think what they're told to think. Children are taught from birth that their leader is like a god, and that the outside world is evil and dangerous. The saddest part is that most North Koreans have no idea how terrible their lives are compared to the rest of the world. They've been brainwashed since birth to think this is normal. 8. The prison country. North Korea sits in East Asia, taking up the northern half of the Korean peninsula. The country covers about 120,000 square kilometers, making it roughly the size of England. About 25 million people live here, but they might as well be living on another planet because they're completely cut off from the rest of the world. The country shares borders with China to the north, Russia to the northeast, and South Korea to the south. Between North and South Korea runs one of the most dangerous borders on Earth, called the DMZ. This border is packed with soldiers, landmines, and weapons pointing at each other 24 hours a day. Almost everyone in North Korea speaks Korean, and the government forces everyone to follow their twisted version of communism. But calling it communism is a joke because it's really just a kingdom where one family has ruled for over 70 years like kings, and North Korea has some coal and iron in the ground. But the country is too isolated and badly run to make money from these resources. Instead of building a real economy, the government spends all its money on weapons and keeping the ruling family living in luxury. The country's location makes it important because it sits between China and American allies like South Korea and Japan. This is why the world pays attention to North Korea, even though it's economically worthless. One wrong move here could start a massive war. 7. From war zone to nightmare state. Most people don't know that North Korea used to be just the northern part of regular Korea. After World War II ended, the Soviet Union took control of the North while America controlled the South. This split was supposed to be temporary, but it became permanent when both sides couldn't agree on how to reunite the country. In 1950, North Korea invaded South Korea, starting a brutal war that killed millions of people. The war officially ended in 1953, but technically, the two countries are still at war today because they only signed a ceasefire, not a real peace treaty. After the war, a man named Kim Il-sung took complete control of North Korea. He didn't just want to be a regular leader. He wanted to be worshipped like a god. Kim Il-sung created a system where his family would rule forever and everyone else would be their slaves. When Kim Il-sung died in 1994, his son Kim Jong-il took over. Kim Jong-il was completely insane and lived one of the most ridiculous lifestyles in human history. When he died in 2011, his son Kim Jong-un became the new dictator, and he's just as crazy as his father and grandfather. This family has turned North Korea into their personal playground while keeping everyone else locked up and starving. They've created the most evil government system in the modern world. 6. Kim Jong-un's wild modern lifestyle. Kim Jong-un, the current leader, has continued his family's tradition of living like an insane king while his people suffer. But he's taken the madness to new levels with his modern lifestyle that would make a Hollywood celebrity jealous. Kim Jong-un is completely obsessed with luxury and spends incredible amounts of money on personal pleasures. He owns multiple private jets, luxury yachts, and a collection of expensive cars that includes Ferraris, Mercedes, and even armored limousines. This is in a country where most people have never even seen a car up close. Like his father, Kim Jong-un also maintains his own pleasure squad of beautiful women. These women are selected from across the country based on their looks and forced to serve the leader and his inner circle. Many are teenagers when they're chosen, and they disappear from their families forever to serve in the leader's palaces. Kim Jong-un has been married to a woman named Ri Sol-ju since 2009, but he also keeps multiple mistresses in secret relationships. His wife rarely appears in public, and when she does, she's always perfectly dressed and smiling. But people who escape North Korea say she's basically a prisoner, too. The most disgusting part is that Kim Jong-un throws massive parties at his palaces with imported alcohol, exotic foods, and entertainment, while his people are so hungry they eat tree bark. He has chefs flown in from around the world to prepare special meals, while ordinary North Koreans get a few spoonfuls of rice if they're lucky. Intelligence reports suggest that Kim Jong-un spends over $300 million per year just on personal luxury items, while the average North Korean makes less than $2 per day. 5. The secret police state. North Korea operates one of the most evil surveillance systems ever created. The country has several different secret police organizations that spy on citizens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Every neighborhood has secret informants whose job is to report on their neighbors. These informants listen for any criticism of the government, any mention of the outside world, or any behavior that seems suspicious. Even children are encouraged to spy on their own parents and report them to authorities. The country runs a network of prison camps called Kwanliso, where hundreds of thousands of people are held as political prisoners. These camps are so brutal that they make Nazi concentration camps look mild. Prisoners are worked to death, tortured, and executed for the smallest infractions. What makes these camps especially evil is that North Korea practices guilt by association. This means if one person commits a crime like trying to escape or criticizing the government, their parents, children, and grandchildren are also sent to prison camps. Entire families disappear forever because one member made a mistake. Former prisoners who escaped describe horrific conditions, people eating rats and insects to survive, public executions for stealing food, and guards who treat prisoners worse than animals. Many people are born in these camps and die there without ever seeing the outside world. The government also uses public executions to terrorize people. Citizens are forced to watch as people are shot or hanged for crimes like watching foreign movies, trying to escape, or even stealing food. 4. The fake economy. North Korea's economy is basically fake. The government claims everything is wonderful, but the reality is that the country is one of the poorest places on earth. Most factories don't work because there's no electricity or raw materials. Workers show up to empty factories and pretend to work because not showing up would get them in trouble. Many factories haven't produced anything in years, but workers still have to go there every day. The government gives people ration cards that are supposed to provide food, but the rations are so small that people would starve if that's all they ate. Most families have to find illegal ways to get extra food, like growing vegetables in secret or buying things on black markets. North Korea has its own money called the won, but it's basically worthless. People prefer to trade using Chinese money, American dollars, or even just trading goods directly. The government has destroyed its own economy so badly that its own money is a joke. Most North Koreans survive by breaking the law. They grow food illegally, sell things on black markets, or cross the border into China to bring back goods. The government knows this happens, but pretends it doesn't because otherwise everyone would starve. The only people who have money are government officials and people connected to the ruling family. These people live in nice apartments in Pyongyang, the capital city, while everyone else lives in poverty. 3. The nuclear obsession. While North Korean people don't have enough food to eat, their government spends enormous amounts of money building nuclear weapons and missiles. This shows how twisted the government's priorities are. North Korea has been working on nuclear weapons since the 1960s, and they now have enough nuclear material to make dozens of bombs. They also have missiles that can reach Japan, South Korea, and even the United States. The government tells people that these weapons are necessary to protect North Korea from invasion, but the real reason is to keep the Kim family in power. They use nuclear weapons to threaten other countries and force them to give North Korea money and food. Building these weapons cost billions of dollars that could be used to feed people or build hospitals and schools. Instead, the government chooses to build bombs while children starve in the streets. The nuclear program also makes North Korea more isolated because other countries impose sanctions to punish them for building weapons. These sanctions make life even harder for ordinary people while the ruling elite continue living in luxury. North Korea's nuclear tests have poisoned parts of their own country. Some areas near test sites have higher rates of birth defects and cancer, but the government hides this information and continues testing. 2. Escaping the nightmare. Getting out of North Korea is one of the most dangerous things a person can do. The government shoots people who try to escape and punishes their families severely. Most people who escape have to cross into China first, but even that's extremely dangerous. The border is covered with electric fences, landmines, and guards who will shoot on sight. Many people die trying to cross. Even if someone makes it to China, they're not safe. China has an agreement with North Korea to send escaped people back, which means certain death or prison camps. Escapees have to hide in China and find ways to reach South Korea or other countries that will protect them. The journey to freedom often takes years and costs thousands of dollars. Many escapees have to work as slaves in China or get help from Christian missionaries and human rights groups who risk their lives to help people escape. Women who escape face additional horrors. Many are sold as wives to Chinese men or forced into prostitution. Some are raped or abused for years before they can continue their journey to freedom. The lucky few who make it to South Korea or other free countries often struggle with trauma and depression. They've lost their families forever and have to learn how to live in a completely different world. Many suffer from guilt about the family members they left behind.